for details.
With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
You have to learn the rules of the game, and then you have to play them better than anyone else. That's what Albert Einstein once said. We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And business, we talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you won't want to miss. It's a live show. This week is all about first impressions. And this week, we'll be joined by guests Bob Baittie, Chris Everett, Andrea Storrs, and Helene Burns. And at the end of the show, I'm going to be sharing tips on how to attract great employees. It's a live show. You can call in with your questions at 312-642-5600. Once again, that phone number to call in with your questions, 312-642-5600. Our first guest is Bob Baittie, who is the author of a fantastic book called Tremors in the Universe. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Bob, professionally, you're in the creative design business. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's correct. I have owned and operated my own design business for the past 27 years now, and I handle corporate communications as well as website design and other types of print media.
Here in the Chicagoland area?
Correct, in the Skokie area.
Fantastic. So, as a professional, I'm assuming that it wasn't one day you decided to start writing a book about Parkinson's. There must be a story behind that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Most definitely. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I was blessed with a very positive attitude in terms of reaction. I think as human beings, a great number of us feel that we are conditioned to have to accept the negativity of a situation or an event like that in our life. And I took a very positive approach.
Was the diagnosis of Parkinson's, obviously it's a game changer health-wise.
Absolutely.
But was it a game changer for you as a professional?
It's interesting because I did have a period of time where I was concerned about how my clients might perceive that, whether they thought it would diminish my quality of work. And while it was an initial thought, in all honesty, the reaction from my clients was very positive.
Interesting. So tell us about the book, Tremors in the Universe. I have the book, started it, didn't finish it. But fascinating perspective. Tell us, what is the lesson you're trying to convey to your readers?
Well, again, I think the lesson is that we have a choice. We can't control the events that happen in our life, but we can control how we react to those events. The choice to be happy in a challenging situation is something that we control. And again, I took it as a challenge. There's oftentimes the impression that's given that I could have to kind of give in to how other people have reacted to Parkinson's. But again, I chose to take a different approach. And while the book was inspired by my condition of Parkinson's, in truth and honesty, the book became more a book about life.
Sure. And it is definitely important to take it as a lesson. So obviously you wrote this book, as you mentioned. It was a book about Parkinson's, but it's about sharing a lesson. At the end of the segment, we'll share your contact information and people can hopefully buy a copy of the book as well. But I like to believe that in everything there's a call to action. There's always the next step. What do you think the next step is for you? And what do you think the next step is for your readers that might be picking up a copy of Tremors in the Universe?
Sure. The next step for me is to continue on in the same mode, in the same format that I've been. I want to continue writing. I have a fantastic following in terms of the blog that I write. But in terms of getting other people involved, that's a key point to me as well, because there's three primary areas. Fundraising for Parkinson's research, getting involved in clinical trials themselves. There's a great need for people both with Parkinson's and without Parkinson's as control subjects to be involved in the clinical trials. And finally, maintaining that positive attitude. Those are three things other people can do and put into action in their life.
What is there in terms of a community around Parkinson's? Are there a lot of gatherings? Are there a lot of networking opportunities? Is there a lot of opportunities for you to talk with people that are in a similar situation as you are?
Absolutely. There's fantastic community, and that's one of the great pluses of actually getting involved. The National Parkinson's Foundation has a Chicago-based organization here, and that they put together a fundraiser every year called Moving Day Chicago.
And the most prominent, I'll argue and say that the most prominent individual with Parkinson's is Michael J. Fox.
Absolutely.
What is there in terms of his foundation locally here in Chicago?
In terms of his foundation, I'm working presently with Northwestern Hospital. They are conducting clinical trials called a PPMI trial, which is trying to isolate a biomarker to help lead towards a cure for Parkinson's as well as better diagnosis.
And Michael J. Fox is, and you, Bob Baittie, you're a living example that it is possible to be a professional, that it is possible to keep going. As you said, that your call to action is keep going and live on and move on. And you were concerned about how your clients would react, but they've reacted and embraced who you are. Do you find that that's the typical example?
Yes. In terms of the outpouring and the response from the community, it has been tremendously positive, not only for myself, but for all the people involved and how I've seen the community come together. And
where's your book available?
The book is available from my website, which is www.tremorsintheuniverse.com. It's also available at Balboa Press and Amazon.com. But for your listeners, if they order from my website and enter the code RADIO at checkout, they can receive a 25% discount off the cover price of the book.
And the website, again, is tremorsintheuniverse.com.
Correct.
The name of the book, how did that come about?
Tremors in the Universe, a little my advertising creative side. The word tremors to me represented not an earthquake that actually destroys, but rather the shocks that make you take notice. And for me, Parkinson's was simply a take notice to look at my attitude and the way I was living my life.
Once again, we're talking with Bob Baittie, who has a creative studio in the Skokie area, but recently wrote a book called Tremors in the Universe, which is available online. And again, there's a special discount available to our listeners, which we'll share again in a moment. Bob, your story is fascinating, and we try to profile professionals that are making a difference. Some of those professionals are people that have an innovative idea, and you'll hear more of those people throughout the show. We're talking with Chris Everett, Andrea Storrs, and Helene Burns during the rest of the show, people that are very involved and active and making a difference in the business community. But your story is remarkable. Your story is inspiring, and hopefully our listeners will check out Tremors in the Universe, buy a copy of the book and read it. And probably an important call to action would be read it and then share it with somebody else. Make sure somebody else can enjoy it and spread the message even further.
Absolutely.
So once again, Bob, how can people get a hold of you?
www.tremorsintheuniverse.com. There's contact availability there at the website, and they can also reach me at Bob Baittie Design in Skokie.
Fantastic. Bob Baittie Design in Skokie, that's your business, and you mentioned that there is a special discount on your book, Tremors in the Universe. Can you tell our listeners again how they can take advantage of that?
Simply enter the code RADIO when you're checking out, and you'll be able to receive a 25% discount.
TremorsInTheUniverse.com. Bob, thanks for joining us on the show. We'll be sure to follow your progress and have you back on. You can download a copy of this interview and podcasts of Get Down to Business on my website, ShalomKlein.com. Get Down to Business is powered by Tandem HR, your solution center. You can find them at tandemhr.com. tandemhr.com or call 630-928-0510. The folks at Tandem HR are waiting for your call. You can call them at 630-928-0510. You can also email them, simplify@tandemhr.com, and on their website, they've got a lot of great advice, tips, and information about everything human resources. You don't want to miss that. After the break, we're going to be talking with Chris Everett of Everett Wealth Solutions. She's got some great advice for us. We're also talking with Andrea Storrs about making a good quality first impression in the job search. And of course, we're talking with Helene Burns, who's got a fascinating story of her work at Associated Agencies. And we're excited for those guests. Once again, you could get on my website, shalomklein.com, and download podcasts from this show. Get Down to Business is brought to you in part by Everett Wealth Solutions, a registered investment advisor and financial planning firm, a fiduciary advisor that helps you create your personal wealth. Find them at everettwealthsolutions.com or call 708-771-7777. You're listening to Get Down to Business.